Hey there, Detroit sports fanatics. I'm Taylor Phillips, and welcome to Taylor's Detroit Sports Show on Blog Talk Radio. You can call in at 646-478-4837. That is 646-478-4837. And you can also text in at 231-429-3668. Again, the text number is 231-429-3668. Once again, the call number is 646-478-4837. And the text number is 231-429-3668. The Red Wings managed to take 2 out of 3 from Western Canada, but then they kind of slipped and fell in Washington, especially Jimmy Howard, who turned the puck over to Troy Brouwer, who scored an easy wraparound goal on the power play. And Jimmy Howard tried to make a desperation save and tore his groin and was injured and he was down and not getting up. Sources today said he had a slight groin tear. He's put on the injured reserve. He is out until at least after the All-Star break. And that was just a boneheaded thing for Jimmy Howard to do. He did 2 boneheaded things. Turn the puck over and injure yourself trying to make a desperation save. Jimmy Howard, if you have no chance of stopping that goal, of stopping such a goal, just let Troy Brouwer score. It was only 2 minutes into the hockey game. And you decide to risk your own body. You put your entire body on the line. I know this is the NHL, but this is not pro wrestling. This isn't Ultimate Fighting either. I'll tell you that. Jimmy Howard was going to make the All-Star game before he got injured. I don't think he deserves to be an All-Star in the NHL anyway, because he's still not there yet. He's still turning the puck over. He's not making enough key saves. And he's terrible in the shootout. This season, and he just can't. His goals against average numbers have improved in regulation and overtime, but there are some games where he blew it. First loss being at home against Anaheim in a 3-2 on a blown penalty call by the NHL referees, which I admit was a mistake. Howard still could have made that key save to at least force overtime, but no. Remember the Howard turnover? Remember when he turned the puck over in Game 2 of last year's Stanley Cup playoffs first round against the Boston Bruins at TD Bankworth Garden? Yeah. Yeah, it was nobody else's fault but Howard's. You just can't turn the puck over. If you turn the puck over, bad things happen. And not only did one bad thing happen, two bad things happened. He gave up a power play goal easily on that turnover, and he injured himself. I really hate to break it to you Red Wings fans, but that's what karma can do to you if you make a mistake like that. I don't think it I don't think it, I don't think it happens usually, but it just can't get any worse than that for a goaltender like Jimmy Howard. Peter Mrazek finished the game, played the rest of the game, giving up just the other two goals, giving up two more goals. And Jonathan Ericsson finally scored his first goal. He still has seven assists. There was a span of time where after 13:53 into the game, the Red Wings were stuck on 8 shots on goal. And the Red Wings wound up getting only 4 shots on goal, and they managed to get a goal from Ericsson, of all players, of all NHL players. By the way, Timu Pulkkinen was called up before that game after Johan Franzen went down on the IR with some sort of concussion that he suffered Tuesday against the Oilers in Edmonton at Rexall Place. The Red Wings went on to win that one 4-2. Then they beat the Flames 3-2, thanks to 2 correct no-goal calls. Peter Mrazek was interfered with, and then the Flames got called for offside. The Red Wings earned it, but they couldn't earn it alone. They have to thank the NHL referees for getting those 2 calls right, for getting on those violations. And Red Wing fans should be happy with the way the referees officiated the game in Calgary, especially in the final 2 minutes in the game. That goes to prove to you that that the NHL referees do not hate the Red Wings. Period. They called the game down the middle. Just like we tried to promise you guys. So the Red Wings wrap up their road trip in Buffalo Tuesday night at 7 against the Sabres, and in St. Louis at 8 o'clock against the Blues. The Blues have to be one of the best teams in the West right now. The Red Wings are in for a real competition in the city of the Arch, Tower. Then they return home to Joe Louis Arena and meet for the first time this season against the Nashville Predators. Puck drop will be scheduled for 7 o'clock, and you'll find it on Fox Sports Detroit Plus, now on Charter locally on Channel 88 in the Wexford-Missaukee counties area. Now let's get to the Pistons. The Pistons came back in San Antonio and beat the Spurs 105-104 on a game-winning layup by Brandon Jennings with 1/10 of a second left. Normally initially it proved to be a buzzer beater, but there was just a little bit of time left on the clock. The Spurs had one last shot, not much of it, and of course they were not able to take advantage of it. The Pistons held on, 105-104. Jennings had a rough night, but he still won it. They made it 6. They extended their winning streak to 6. Then they went on to Dallas the following night and crushed the Dallas Mavericks 108-95 to extend their winning streak to 7. They beat them in Dallas, for goodness sakes. Got to admit, Dirk Nowitzki was tough to guard. Also, don't forget Rajon Rondo had himself a night. Monte Ellis as well. But the Pistons just overworked them. They worked as a team. They were ready to take on the Atlanta Hawks on Friday night at the Palace, but the Hawks had the best team. The Hawks were the best team in the East, and the Hawks actually proved so in the first 3 quarters of that contest Friday night at the Palace. And they had to overcome a Piston comeback and to hang on and win 106-103 to snap the Pistons' 7-game winning streak. I thought the Pistons turned up their defense in the fourth quarter. They could have played defense as tough of defense in the fourth quarter as they did in the fourth quarter. The first 3 quarters, and then they would have had a better chance to beat Atlanta. But then the Pistons welcomed the Brooklyn Nets and went back to their winning ways. But it was a close game all along, the entire way through. Oh man. But the Pistons had the lead most of the game and hung on. Had it all but wrapped up and still won 98-93. They're in Toronto tomorrow night against the Raptors at 7:30. Then on Wednesday at 7:30, they return home to the Palace to take on the New Orleans Pelicans. Then on Friday they take on the Indiana Pacers at Bankers Life Fieldhouse at 7 in Indianapolis. Then they return home again and take on the Philadelphia 76ers, who have been red hot as of late. Taking a look at the standings. The Sixers beat the Nets on this past Friday night, but maybe they're not red hot. The Sixers are 7-29. But where do the Pistons stand? They're 13-24 and are still catching up. They have won 8 out of their last 9 after waiving Josh Smith. The Pistons and Sixers game is a lock. The Pistons should take care of the Sixers. The Raptors are tied for second place with the Washington Wizards for the second best NBA, the second best Eastern Conference record, 25-11. The Pelicans are 18-18 in ninth place of the Western Conference. Two and a half games back of the 8th seed, where the Phoenix Suns are at 22-17. I expect the Pistons to keep on rolling. The Pacers are 15-24. Pistons should be able to handle that game. The key matchup of the week for the Pistons is in Toronto tomorrow night, 7:30 on Fox Sports Detroit. But the Pistons should take care of the Pelicans, Pacers, and 76ers. The Pistons took on a Mavericks team that is now in 5th place in the West. Now 3rd place in the Southwest Division. Pelicans are last in the Southwest with an even record. The Raptors lead the Atlantic Division. The Hawks are still 28-8. They apparently had yesterday and today off. Based on their current record right now, still 28-8. Now let's go to college basketball. Spartans got themselves a couple of nice victories. Came back from 39 to 28 down in Iowa to beat the Hawkeyes 75-61, and then today they had to go to overtime against the Northwestern Wildcats, and they won. And the Spartans won 84-77 at Breslin Center. Michigan beat Minnesota 62-57. Let me make a correction here. Michigan beat Penn State last Tuesday 73-64 at Bryce Jordan Center at Happy Valley. And then yesterday they went back home and they rallied to nip the Minnesota Golden Gophers 62-57 at Chrysler Center. So both teams seem to be doing pretty well as of late in their big 2015 Big Ten men's basketball Division I season. Despite suffering a few upset losses at home altogether. Central Michigan got a hard-fought victory in Toledo, but then got crushed by Ball State at Muncie, Indiana, 83-65. 83-65. Eastern Michigan didn't do so well. They lost in overtime to Ball State 60-59, and then lost another one in overtime to Miami, Ohio 82-81. The Eagles just can't buy a win. Western got crushed by the Akron Zips 72-57. 72-57, but then came back to beat the Buffalo Bulls 78-68. Oh, I missed one. Michigan State beat Indiana 70-50 on Monday. They played 3 games this past week. So the Spartans got themselves 3 nice wins. Even in basketball, they scored that. Oh, they scored a 3-point play. They completed a 3-point play. Yeah, that sounds more appropriate. Some hot chocolate there. The Oakland Golden Grizzlies play themselves a couple of games, lost to Cleveland State, the Vikings 65-61, and then they got beat badly by the Detroit Mercy Titans 74-54. See what's on tap here. The Wolverines visit the Buckeyes Tuesday at 7. Chippewas host the Miami, Ohio Redhawks at 7. Eastern Michigan Eagles visit the Kent State Golden Flashes at 7. Kent State Golden Flashes at 7. The Western Michigan Broncos welcome the Ball State Cardinals into Kalamazoo at 7. The Detroit Titans visit the Illinois Chicago Flames at 8. All those games tip off on Wednesday. Then the Oakland Golden Grizzlies at 7 on Thursday at 7 welcome in the Wisconsin Green Bay Phoenix. Then the Eastern Michigan Eagles welcome in the Northern Illinois Huskies Saturday at noon. The Titans welcome in the Phoenix at 3. Spartans go on the road and take on the number 11 Maryland Terrapins at 4. Chippewas take on the Zips at 7. Broncos visit the Rockets at 7. And the Wolverines welcome in the Northwestern Wildcats at 8:15. And finally on Sunday, one college basketball game on hand in the Mitten. The Golden Grizzlies welcome Albion at 3 o'clock. So that's what's on tap for college basketball in the Mitten on Taylor's Detroit Sports Show, Sunday, January 11th, from 11 to 11:30 p.m. Eastern. And that is a wrap. I will talk to you a bit later this week on Spreaker, and then back here on Blog Talk Radio Sunday at 11. TTFN, ta-ta for now.